Hi guys, I'm back and we're going to continue coloring up Annabel the Mermaid from Crafty Sentiments Designs on Tuxedo or on Copic X-Press It cardstock with Tuxedo Black ink. And this time we're going to be working on her hair. I'm going to have a little two-tone color combination going on. I'm going to be using BG11, BG13, BG18, and then YG00, YG01, and YG03. And I'm going to start with the blue-greens, the BGs, and that's going to be kind of up top around her face. And then it'll fade into the yellow-green. So I'm just using my lightest color, the BG11. And actually I'm going to go right over the pearls, or bubbles, whatever you want them to be, that are floating up there in her hair, because I'm going to go in at the end and with my Ranger liquid pearls and add that all back in. Makes it really easy peasy. You're not fussing around all those little shapes in the hair, since we already got a lot kind of going on. She's got a lot of waves, of course, you know, being down in the water and stuff, so her hair is moving around. It's got a lot of movement to it. So I'm just finding my highlight areas, you know, kind of the parts that kind of bump out and are closer to the light, wherever, you know, these indicator lines kind of dip in like this. I'm going to use that as a guide to my darkest areas, and that's what I'm doing with this first layer of color. It's not pretty at all. It's just mapping out for me where my darkest areas are going to be once the image is completely colored in. So I'm just kind of laying in my color so I can see, okay, it's going to dip down there and it's going to be dark there. I'm going to leave this white because where it's kind of arcing up, that's where it's going to be closer to the light. So it's going to be lighter there, so I'm going to leave that white, and then so as it dips back down here, I'm mapping in my color there. I'm going to leave these tips kind of white there, because again, closer to the light source. Play with that. Okay, now down here, I have kind of a dip in that I'm going to follow there, and then this is kind of bumping this curl here, so I'm going to leave that white. Okay, and then on this side we've got kind of a bump out going on with the curls here, and then a lot of this is going to be more in shadow than that other side, just because it's further away from our light source, but we'll give her still a little bit of highlights over there as well. Okay, so now I'm going to keep laying down color, and I'm going to go to my BG13. It's my medium tone in this color family. And I'm not going as far in as I did the BG, and I'm not going to go down here at all with any more of my dark blue greens, because I'm going to reserve the rest of this part of her hair for my yellow greens. And it was okay to get my 11 down there, because I do want it to blend together. I want it to be a smooth transition from the blue greens to the yellows, so that'll be okay down there. But I didn't want to get any darker. Okay. And it's just, again, laying in the color. We can get into this deep part. And then over here, okay, and then my BG18. And this is my darkest in the blue greens that I'm going to be using. So just, you know, hitting the tips and the back of the head back here, where not a lot of light source is coming and touching on her. Get into that dip there. Kind of all along the back side of that hair for the most part. I'm going to get it. I think most of the highlights are going to fall here around her face where the hair is kind of bumping out a bit. Okay. Work kind of on this side too. Getting her some shadowed areas. Okay, and then in this little valley, we're going to have our dark blue-green there too. Okay. Now I'm going to work my way back, and this is where I start blending. So my BG13, I'm going to start right over the 18 and pull a little farther than I did the first time, blending those two together. Okay. Do the same on this side. Pull up. And it's going to pull up on this side as well. Okay. Now finish it off with my BG11. I'm not starting all the way back into the 18, just kind of in the mid part of the 13. I'm going to leave some white areas. I'm going to come in later with another color, so I want to leave some white for now in here. And then I'm going to pull here up and around that kind of bump out. Okay, so now I've got my yellow greens, and I'm going to take my YG01, or I mean 00, and start laying those in over top that BG11 that I did. And then the YG01. And again, I'm just kind of hitting as I get the darker colors, just kind of in the little dip areas. Not all the way out. And my darkest is the YG03. Okay. And I'm also going to hit some of these little curls, just to bring some green on this side too. Okay. Now I'm going to work my way back down, blending them together, the YG01 right over top. And that's kind of why I chose these two color families, because when they mix together like this, because they both have the green, you know, it's yellow green and it's blue-green, they blend in a really fun manner. Okay, so YGO 00. Kind of finish off that blend into that white area. Okay, and now to kind of start tying it, I'm taking my 00, and that's what I'm going to take over those white areas that I left to start with. I'm going to blend right down into those blue-greens. I'm going to pull it up in here a bit too. So anywhere I left white, I'm now taking my very lightest yellow-green. There we go. That's really coming to life now. Okay. So I got my base coat down, and as you can see, it's still not super pretty, super smooth. So now what it is going back in with my blue-greens and, you know, blending out these harsh lines that I've got going on and giving myself some smoother blends. So I'm going to start with the darkest, the BG18. And just with feather strokes, very lightly, reinforcing this dark area, any of my darkest, which, you know, kind of fall back here around her body as well. Up here at the, wherever she has a part in her hair. And then I generally do the tips there, and then the back side of her head, of course, and underneath the little starfish there. And then we're going to flick, flick, flick in some dark color here as well. Okay. And then the BG13. And just flicking that out. That following kind of the lines that they've mapped out for you in the image. So they're all kind of going in the right direction. Oops, not done, just that one area. It's blending back now. Okay, and the BG11. It's blending that now into the YG00 area, and it can come pretty far in there just so we get that nice transition going. Now, I'm going to take do the same thing down here, starting with the darkest, the YG03, and reinforcing my darker shadow here. And blending it back out with the 01. And finally the 00. So it's a lot of working while it's still wet and blending back and forth into each other to get that smooth gradient from the blue-green into the yellow-green. One last time up here. Okay, so now you could be done. But you know me, I tend to like to add in the low lights. So I'm going to take the BG18 and just with the very tip of the marker, I'm going to add in those little lines in her hair, breaking right across both the light and dark. And that's just going to kind of help add some interest, I think, to her hair. And it's just quick little flicks, and I try to follow, you know, the curly hair, follow the little lines that they give you for the image. But you don't have to be super precise. Just get some little lines going in there. Forget that little curl that she's got coming down on her forehead. Okay. Do the same down here. Though I'm only going to go with this one till, you know, just through that darker blue area that we have in the crease, because I want to add in, finish that line with the darker green, the YG03. So I'm going to complete that line down here with the dark green. So she still has, you know, the lines. So I'm going to add a couple in just on my own. And that means I want to finish that one with a blue. And just fade them into each other. There we go. Down here. There we go. Okay. That's not looking too shabby at all. She's got some funky under the sea hair going on. Let's add a little bit of the dark green here, just around her face. She needs a little something. There we go. Okay, real quick, I'm going to do that starfish just by laying down the YR02, YR04, and again being slightly messy with it because they have that kind of mottled skin, so it's kind of rough. I don't want him super smooth. It's kind of dotted on, and back to my YR04, finish with the YR02. Easy peasy, just like that. And then he's got some texture, he's not flat, and looks pretty good. Okay, so we got her hair done, and next we're going to be finishing off the image with her tail, so I hope you come back to watch that one as well. Thank you.